stuff. We can boost our rankings in search engines because we can put links on other people's websites. We can force the user to click on banners. We can do distributed denial of service attacks. We'll get to some of the worm stuff, but once you can leverage a million browsers, you can send them to any place you want, potentially DOS the website. You can force a user to download illegal content. I mean, you have control over their browser to do anything you want. You can vote tampering, you can de-anonymize people, all sorts of stuff. Okay, so let's get to solutions, and I'll hit TC take over. Want to go for it?
So these vulnerabilities that Jeremiah is talking about in examples, they're widespread. First one, cross-site scripting. A lot of the talks today are going to be talking about this issue. It's, as the data says, it tops the web hacking incident database. Security Focus found over 1,400 issues. BlackHat, we found over 1,500 issues. The statistics that we see are that 8 out of 10 customer websites have cross-site scripting issues. It's common, it's out there, we know it's out there. The issue is that now, these days, we're seeing it actually be exploited. We're reading various news examples about Yahoo, MySpace, PayPal. These vulnerabilities are being exploited, people are taking advantage of them, and so it's become a more serious issue. It needs to be addressed. What this example shows, though, is it increases the scope of what we're able to do with these cross-site scripting attacks. Now, there's a second attack vector that we've used in these attacks, and that's the cross-site request forgery that Jeremiah talked about briefly. The gist of cross-site request forgery is that the website trusts the user when a request comes from the user. So if we take the DSL router example, the DSL router says, okay, you're sending me a request to update your password, or you're sending me a request to change the settings. Cool, I'll do it. The problem is that another website can force the user to make that request. In the example that we showed, we had some cross-site scripting code, we sent it to the victim, they made that request, they updated their DSL router. This works for just about every web application or device out there that you attach to a network. If you're on MySpace and if someone sends you a link that's the delete all your friends link, you'll delete all your friends. If you're on Yahoo Mail and someone sends you the forward all your email to someone else link, you'll forward all your email. It trusts you.
If you're on your web bank and I say, wire me all your money, your browser will do it.
Yeah, that's what's so scary. And so the issue here is that we don't have any hard statistics about how prevalent it is because every website does it. Websites don't look at that information. They trust it.
So some cross-site scripting hacks in the news that we saw. One was Dig, the popular one of the social networking websites where you post stories and people click on it and dig the story. If you were to view this particular blog page, what it would force your browser to do is automatically dig that story. So as soon as you hit the site, if you're logged in today, it would automatically dig the story and force your browser to do it. So that was one example out there. Another one was a vulnerability that we disclosed to Google, where if you viewed one of the websites that we made, it would force your browser to, if you were logged into Gmail, to download and show all your email addresses, your contact list at a Gmail. Both of these have subsequently been fixed. But the point is, as soon as you hit a website, that website can really force your browser to make any request that it wants to any website. So that's where cross-site request forgery gets bad. It gets really bad if you happen to be logged into that website.
Cross-site scripting, this has been an exciting year if you want to see what these attacks can do. Almost a year ago, in fact, Sammy created the first large-scale cross-site scripting on a famous website called MySpace. Probably everyone here has heard of MySpace. It's one of the most popular social networking sites on the web. And so what Sammy did was he wanted to become popular. So he updated his profile, and he tried to find a way to fit some cross-site scripting code into his profile, so that when someone viewed his profile, he'd be able to run JavaScript, right? MySpace already had some controls in place to filter out his cross-site scripting attacks, but he spent enough time to get past the filters while he was eating burritos and hanging out in the coffee bar. What he did is he put in some cross-site scripting code that got past the filters, and he made it so that, first of all, anyone that viewed his profile would automatically update their profile with the same code. Then he did some fun things, like he, had them add him to their friends list, because he wants to be popular, that's the goal. And he also made them update their heroes section to say, and most of all, Sammy is my hero. It's pretty exciting, some of the techniques that he used. He actually, we talk about Ajax. Well, MySpace uses some one-time passes. So that, for instance, if you're going to submit a post to update your user profile, there's this page in the middle where it has a one-time pass. That needs to accompany the post in order to work. He would actually go in, retrieve that page, take out that data, and then make another request including that one-time pass.
So we also had some recent examples on Yahoo Mail, same sort of thing, where you got an email attachment laced with some JavaScript malware. You open the email attachment, it reads your Yahoo contact list, and then sends a copy of that message to everybody in your contact list that's on Yahoo. And that's how that particular worm spread. We don't know how widespread it got, but these are some examples of the things on how JavaScript malware can get out there to a system and hit lots and lots of users.
As far as impact, the semi-MySpace example, it's snowballed. Someone viewed his profile, and they'd get infected with the worm. If someone viewed that profile, they'd get infected too. In 24 hours, he had over 1 million people trying to request him on their friends list. MySpace, in turn, had to shut down for 24 hours in order to fix the issue. During this time, they're not generating ad revenue, people aren't logging in. This is just the beginning.
So, how do we protect ourselves? So there's, two ways to go about it. One is protecting the server, one is protecting the client. So what solutions do we have here? So let's take a look. Go for it.
There are a lot of good solutions out there for users, but the issue is, what happens if you can't trust that the server has actually been fixed? It hasn't been patched, they haven't addressed those concerns. What can you do? Patching and antivirus. Right now, today, there aren't solutions that let you run antivirus software that'll identify this JavaScript malware as it's being rendered in your browser and say, hey, that's actually a virus or a worm. The other example, corporate web surfing filters. This would work if the issue was that you're going to bad sites, questionable sites that you probably shouldn't go to and they can have bad code. The issue here, though, is that we're going to trusted sites. We're going to Yahoo Mail, we're going to MySpace, we're going to AOL, and so most likely the corporate web filter isn't going to stop you from going to Yahoo Mail or New York Times.
So what these solutions are designed to do, like SSL, two-factor auth, or staying away from questionable websites, is they're designed to protect you from, bad websites, the websites you're not supposed to go to or that might be dangerous. The problem with cross-site scripting and the JavaScript malware stuff is we think you're most likely going to get infected in the websites you trust, like Yahoo, like MySpace, like the major websites out there. So these solutions are good for other areas, but for this, they're just simply not going to work. So what are the better solutions we have out there?
Well, as a user, if you get an email, you can look at the link. If it looks suspicious, if it's really long, if it looks like there's JavaScript code in it or something, don't click on it, right? But the problem with this method is that the attacker could encode the information in the URL, so you can't really recognize what's going on. Or they could use services like tinyurl.com so that you no longer really know what's going on with that link.
Another method is, like was mentioned, we can use like something called the NoScript Firefox extension, which gives you control over JavaScript on which, what sites can have JavaScript in them, gives some users some control. The problem with NoScript is it's very good for limiting sites, dangerous sites from that you don't need JavaScript. But the problem with NoScript on this site is if you're surfing, again, MySpace or one of the trusted websites, you're going to turn JavaScript on these systems because you're going to want to use these sites and they depend on it. So NoScript we don't think it's going to help you much here, and the same is true for the Netcraft toolbar. These are all designed to spot out the bad websites, but not the good websites doing bad things. So perhaps one of the solutions you can do is when in doubt, disable JavaScript, Java, ActiveX, but as TC says,
the website's not going to work.
So.
But as far as Netcraft toolbar, we have found that the Netcraft toolbar actually checks in some places for cross-site scripting that's going on in the URL bar. So for instance, if it's a cross-site scripting attack where, for instance, they give you a link, you click on it, you go to that page, it'll be in the toolbar, and Netcraft has some features in there to identify it. But it doesn't always work. And the other issue is that it won't work for persistent cross-site scripting. That's where someone's put code in the database, for instance, when Sammy put code in his profile. And then he sends you a valid link to his profile, or you just stumble over it, and then the attack proceeds. That cross-site scripting code is never in the URL bar of your browser. It's actually already in the page.
So we're going to start speeding up a little bit here because we're running out of time. But the point is, if those client-side security solutions look weak, it's because they are. We've been recommending for a while that the Mozilla guys, Microsoft guys, Opera development teams need to start doing more. There have been some suggested remediations to this, but to the best of my knowledge, no one's working on helping more in this particular area. So more research needs to be done in this area. We can claim all we want that the fix is on the server. It is there too, but I as a user don't want to be dependent on the security of a particular website to protect me. That's the point we're trying to make. So easy ways, fixing cross-site scripting is really easy.
Yeah.
So
99% of cross-site scripting can be fixed by adding 1 line or 2 lines of code. What you need to do is, at the server level, if you can, for all your applications, filter the input, sanitize the input. Don't trust the user data.
And we see people doing this particular solution in a lot of places, but it has to be done more diligently on lots of more areas of input. And if you want to protect against yourself from cross-site request forgeries, research session tokens, CAPTCHAs, and we used to think refers work, but refers aren't going to help cross-site request forgery anymore, so we had to cross that one out just recently. So the best advice we can give the world right now to fix this solution is really on the server. Find and fix the cross-site scripting vulnerabilities before the bad guys do. When absolutely nothing can go wrong with your website, there are good web application firewalls out there, such as Mod Security. You want to get the defense in depth going, and also it might be time to start hardening the intranet websites, especially devices that are running these web servers. So a couple of helpful tips there, and we felt the need to plug books, from one of our employees, Hackers Challenge 3, and I wrote the forward for Hack and Expose 2nd edition and the Preventing Web Attacks with Apache. So if you want to know more about WebAppSec, these are the 3 of the best books out there. And thank you very much for coming. I think we ended the talk. So.